Welcome to today's Tom Talks webinar series. I'm Nick Ramfos. I'm the Director of the National Operations Center of Excellence, or NOCoE. This webinar is being recorded. A recording will be shared on our YouTube page and newsletter and will be available on the website within the coming week. To get the recording, please follow us on YouTube and register for our newsletter. All participants will be muted throughout this webinar. Please use the Q&A box on your Zoom toolbar for any questions for the presenters. For general questions for NOCoE or anything else, please use the chat box. We will be doing Q&A after each speaker. This webinar has closed captioning and transcription options as well. Access to those are also on your Zoom toolbar. Before we begin, I just want to thank all of you who are joining us today. We began a robust Tom Talks webinar series for 2025, and after the webinar, we want to hear from you via a short survey that we'll be sending you. We want to know about your preferences for our webinars and how we can best assist you. We also offer you PDHs for most of our webinars, including this one, so please be sure to access those. This is part of an ongoing series on the use and value of the Transportation Operations Manual. Our last Tom Talks webinar in May highlighted the guidance on performance measures for operational improvements and how TSMO programs play an important role in the development of comprehensive performance measure programs. Participants learned about how TSMO programs can help gather and implement performance measures for both system performance monitoring as well as for multi-year project development processes. Presentations focused on the TOM's guidance for level of service, reliability, and other operational measures that are repeatable and sustainable, allowing agencies to prioritize and update their TSMO strategies and reevaluate the measures in the future. Participants also learned how the Green Book ties into performance measures. The TOM focuses on performance measures for operational improvements and guidance on the addition of TSMO-focused performance measures and their importance on operational outcomes when delivering infrastructure programs and projects and practices. And excellent examples that were shared during that webinar were from Pennsylvania, as well as Utah, as well as NITEC. This year, we're going to continue our talks about quite a few sections of the TOM, including the institutional and planning chapters and the tactical elements chapters. These webinars, along with the February and May webinars, are recorded and are on our YouTube channel. And you'll see that link in the chat box. So today's webinar, we're going to focus on linking TSMO to capital projects and how agencies can proactively provide TSMO input and review during the numerous steps associated with project development. This includes planning and programming and development, as well as an integration of TSMO into project design, construction, and ongoing maintenance. As many of you know, agencies face an increasing need for operational efficiency, and it's important that TSMO be proactively included in various steps of the planning and programming process when it comes to project development. Integrating TSMO into the development process can help agencies achieve reduced capital costs and meet road network operational needs. Today, you're going to learn about how TSMO programs can contribute to the project development process. Presentations will focus on the TOM's guidance for project development and integrating TSMO into the planning, programming, design, construction, and ongoing maintenance and operations. You will also learn about the various aspects of how TSMO professionals approach their roles and responsibilities in this process. So now I'd like to give everyone just some additional background on the TOM before we hear from all of our panelists. And I just have a few slides. So for those of you who don't know, there are 3 pillars to TSMO, according to our AASHTO Committee on Transportation System Operations. One is that we have the Transportation Operations Manual, which is really our library book. And then we have the National Operations Center of Excellence, which is the library, because we do have a lot of knowledge-based information on our website. And if you haven't visited, you should try and do that. And then we also hold periodic regional operation leadership forums, as well as operations practitioner workshops, which were just introduced this year. And that's really our training. We are focused on the operations manual. It's the first edition, and it's available to all state DOTs for free. You get 5 downloadable PDFs. If you want more, or if you're not a state DOT, there are more available to purchase on the AASHTO store, and the prices were reduced about a year ago. So the member price is $250, and the non-member price is $338. Also available on the website is a table of contents with details of all 30 chapters and their contents. Trainings are also available for how to use the TOM. A lot of these courses were just introduced about 2 weeks ago, and they're free for the state DOTs, and they really get into detail about how agencies use the TOM and the TOM's connection to day-to-day practices. And for those of you, if we just go to the next slide, we do have a QR code if you want to access those. But they are, again, they are free to AASHTO members, and you do receive PDHs as well if you go through those courses. We've also been working on connecting practitioners with the TOM through this webinar series. And again, these are all available on our website and through the NOCoE YouTube channel. And so that was already put in the chat for you. So if you'd like to access those, feel free to do so. And then we've also updated our website to connect all of our resources with the TOM and show how the manual could be used side by side with a lot of the NOCoE information that we have up on the website. And that gives you kind of a full experience of gaining knowledge of what's in the TOM based on a lot of our case studies and other information that we have on our website. And lastly, I just want to make a plug here. If you're not already signed up for our newsletter, please do so. There's a QR code here that you can use to do that. And we have more webinars that are planned for the rest of this calendar year, as well as you'll find out about any events that are happening, as well as any new case studies and best practice reports that we release through the newsletter. Okay, and with that, I'd like to tell you about our 2 speakers today. Our first speaker is going to be Yamilet Diaz of the Florida DOT. And then we're going to hear from Rupali Mohan Singh of Nevada DOT. We will do question and answers after each speaker. So again, if you have any questions, make sure you put it in the question and answer chat box, not the regular chat box, it's the Q&A chat box, because that's where we'll be monitoring those questions. So feel free to type them in, and this way we can moderate any questions that you have. So with that, I'm going to turn over everything to Yamilet.
Thank you, Nick, and thank you again for the opportunity to present today. Before I begin, I want to make sure you guys can see the presentation.
Perfect.
Very good. Okay, so as Nick was saying, today we are going to talk about the integration of TSMO into our projects and how the Florida Department of Transportation and our district in particular integrates the guidance from the TOM that is in reference to this topic. So I'm gonna give a brief overview for those of you that are not familiar with FDOT and District 6, and then I'm gonna talk about the approach of the department as well as some of the practices that we have started and carried out over the years here in District 6. So for those of you that are not familiar, the Florida Department of Transportation, we are divided, as you see here, into 7 districts, as well as the Florida Turnpike. And the part that you see in red is what encompasses District 6, which is made up of Miami-Dade County and Monroe County. We have a very large population, but above that, we have a large number of visitors on a yearly basis that come to our district, not just to enjoy, the amenities of Miami-Dade, but also the beautiful Florida Keys. Out of the center miles that we have here in the district, we have over the years been able to equip a lot of them with ITS devices. All of that occurs and was envisioned through the creation of our communications hub, our SunGuide TMC, which it is celebrating or celebrated last year, our 20th-year anniversary. We had a vision of having a facility that could accommodate all the growing needs of our TSMO program. And today, I can say that we have a fully integrated regional hub. As you can see here, we offer a lot of TSMO services, and we have deployed a lot of infrastructure that has helped us carry out those services. We have the traditional IPS infrastructure, which is what we started with about 10 to 15 years ago. And then more recently, we have integrated new technologies or advanced technologies like autonomous driving, connected vehicle, etc. So how is it that what we do relates to the TOM? Well, we have followed the guidance really closely. Our approach and FDOT's approach to TSMO aligns with the framework that the TOM lays out. And what we mean by that is that we don't treat TSMO as an add-on. We start thinking about TSMO early on from the planning through the operations. And we evaluate TSMO strategies at first. And that way we have learned, as you will see in later on in the presentation, that we can definitely avoid or defer costly capacity improvements. This particular chapter, where you guys see here the foundation that we have followed here in District 6, as well as the department. So how is it that we follow the guidance? Well, FDOT does a really good job at having a guiding framework for all the districts, including the Florida Turnpike. And, we can see how in each of these guiding documents, TSMO is at the forefront. It has been taken into account. For example, for the PD&E manual that we have, the evaluation of TSMO as an alternative has to be done before considering build alternatives. The FDOT design manual has TSMO well integrated into it, and the updates over the last 15 years have made it more robust in that aspect. This manual, as you guys know, will include, construction details and relevant data on the various types of ITS systems that we deploy. In the construction side, the standard specifications outline the requirements, and we also see that ITS and TSMO are well integrated into the standard specs. And then finally, FDOT also has a TSMO strategic plan, which is actually being updated in 2025. And this is what has set our statewide direction, priorities, as well as performance targets. So the other thing that we follow here at FDOT is a very well-established system engineering process. We have, following the guidance of federal regulations, we have an approach that we follow from the very concept and requirements stage all the way to implementation, system testing, validation. And as you guys saw on the guidance that the Tom provides, we also go into operations, maintenance, etc. The other part that FDOT does really well is that we have a very well-defined institutional support framework to provide a forum for all of the districts, as well as the Turnpike and Central Office, to share, to discuss, and to showcase the ITS and TSMO strategies that each of us are implementing, to talk about the initiatives that are being deployed statewide. And, you know, as you see here, we have a working group that is made up of not just central office folks, but also representatives from all the TSMO offices throughout the district. We also have well-established TSMO task teams, and these are also a forum where all of us participate statewide, and we talk about specific areas. So for example, we have a connected vehicle task team, runway driving task team, etc. And in that, we discuss, you know, the ongoing projects, the initiatives, there's a lot of sharing of information. If we have questions regarding the topic, this provides us a venue for us to be able to work those out. We also have publications like the TSMO Disseminator, which is a newsletter that has Florida-related TSMO articles. And then finally, you know, FDOT is a firm believer in workforce development. So since many years ago, a lot of emphasis has been placed on training the staff, not just those of us that work directly with TSMO, but across the different areas, providing training and development in TSMO topics. So some of those resources that FDOT provides, as you can see here, are computer-based trainings, and these are developed, you know, through some of those task teams that I showed you earlier. And, you know, there's a very good framework that has been established where all of us can provide input into the various trainings that are being developed. How? By sharing our lessons learned from all of our ITS TSMO deployments. And these, you know, trainings are not, as I said before, they are provided for all FDOT employees. The other thing that we established, and this now is talking about District 6 here, Miami-Dade and Monroe, as I mentioned before, is we have a TSMO core group, and this was created about a decade ago. There is participation in this core group from all of the units, the functional units here in the district, and that includes planning, design, construction. TSMO obviously leads this effort, and we need to discuss topics related to ongoing projects, upcoming capital projects. You know, we bring in participants that are from the local agencies or from the region that give us presentations and allow us a place to share how TSMO is being integrated into the different projects, not just the projects that are led by District 6, but also those that are being led by our local partners. Talking about, you know, maintaining a partnership with our local partners and how that is important for being able to keep TSMO at the forefront of every project that basically is going to be implemented. We have several different efforts that some of them are led by us and some of them we participate in, where we coordinate not just at the local district level, but at the regional level with our partners. For example, as part of the Southeast Florida Transportation Council, there is a regional transportation technical advisory committee on TSMO, a TSMO subcommittee. And, we meet on a regular basis and we have representatives there from Palm Beach County, Broward County, Miami-Dade County, as well as local agencies, etc. In those, we discuss similar things as we do at the local level in the core group meeting, which is, projects that are including TSMO. We have an opportunity to share lessons learned with our partners and to introduce items that are useful for those that are just starting to implement TSMO or ITS in their local area, in their sections or in their district, as well as those that have more developed systems that are already in operation. And so this is also something that we have seen has a lot of success when it comes to making sure that we don't treat TSMO as an afterthought. As you guys saw before, from chapter 15 of the COM, we are following that structure of planning, programming, etc. And on the planning side, here in District 6, we have several initiatives. The one that you guys see here, we started approximately in the 2019-2020 timeframe. And that is when we brought in a consultant to help us develop a TSMO master plan. And this TSMO master plan has been completed and continues to be updated on a regular basis. We use this to guide our long-term strategy and investment, including viable TSMO strategies within the district. We have seen that taking into account not just the capital cost, but also as this plan contains, we think about operations, maintenance costs, and other aspects that are very important in TSMO. For example, whenever you have an application, you typically need a license to go with it. And these are things that need to be planned for, not just the capital investment, or the construction costs, but thinking, personnel to operate, things that you need to maintain the system, etc. We found that when we program holistically, we have a lot better results. As I was saying before, through the use of our TSMO master plan and through these other venues, we are thinking about cost beyond capital. We also think about technologies. For example, the project that I'm gonna show you towards the end of this presentation that are new for deployment in our district, for example, and many of these projects require an evaluation by a third party, such as a state university, etc. So planning for that is also an important part of the process. The other thing that we have implemented here in District 6 is, some of you may know, but we actually operate and maintain a traffic signal system in the entire Monroe County, in the state highway system. So our office has been put in charge by our district of making sure that we have all the resources needed to operate that corridor. And, we began this effort back in 2018. And the project you'll see will show you the things that we have implemented, but on the integration and the efforts that we found to be necessary, we determined that it is important to make sure that before any project is done in this corridor, the designers, the planners, etc., think about what are the TSMO needs, what is it that our office will need to be able to operate, let's say, if it is a new traffic signal that is being implemented, what do we need, communications, etc., to be able to operate it and maintain it efficiently from our Transportation Management Center, or TMC. So we developed this scoping checklist that we use, and these are done for all of the projects that we do, including push button projects, etc. The other thing is that we are very involved in the design and construction as well as post-design phases of every project. One thing that we were able to do is that we are included as a main reviewer in our program, the Electronic Review Comments Program, which is where all of our projects go to obtain comments from all the different units within FDOT. We review a very large amount of projects, as you can imagine, and every time we have an opportunity to identify a project that perhaps went through the planning and the PD&E and did not have TSMO implemented, we have an opportunity to catch it early on before it goes into full, final design and construction, so that we can start coordinating that early and ensuring that the things that are being built in the future are including TSMO in them, since we, in the end, will be the ones operating and maintaining it. The other thing is, once the construction phases begin, our office is involved throughout the project, all the way from the beginning. In many of our large projects, for example, we have the Golden Gate Interchange project that is multi-million-dollar project in a very congested area of our county. There is a lot of coordination meetings that occur between the CEI and just the TSMO office, because all of those items that are TSMO related, fiber, relocating devices, etc., all of those have to be included in the schedule in a way that we can have continuous operation of the roadway throughout construction. So we coordinate, we have a construction coordinator that is employed full-time in our facility, and part of their job is to make sure that we are keeping track of all of the construction projects, large ones like the one I mentioned, as well as the small ones. We have, as you see here in the screen, a very active participation, or at least some oversight on, the processes of implementation, testing, integration of devices, as well as making sure that every single ITS device that is being I'm sorry, I missed the word, implemented in the field, that is being built or installed is the word that I was looking for, we can account for, because, as you can imagine, we have to make sure that after final acceptance of those projects, we have, the spare parts to be able to maintain it. We have it well in our records what these devices are, for our purposes of making sure that we're always ready to keep them operating. So the other thing is in operations and maintenance. We, as you guys saw at the beginning, the Tom, stresses that operations and maintenance isn't the end of the line. It is something that we have to continuously know throughout and keep in mind throughout the various phases of the project. So we have developed guidance, for our staff, FDOT staff, consultants, etc., ensuring that we have consistency throughout our operations as well as our maintenance. And we also leverage, the statewide ATMS platforms that continuously are updated to be able to meet our needs for operations and maintenance at the district level as well as statewide. The other thing in terms of operations and maintenance is that we track and report our performance in both aspects of that, and we disseminate that information. This obviously is good for the public, but very importantly for our own, colleagues in the department, within the planning, the design, construction, etc. We, whenever we have a chance, take the opportunity to do presentations, to bring them this type of information, letting them know that it is very easy for them to stay on top of everything that we do and to access, our reports and the information that we produce here at the TMC. So the project that I mentioned, to kind of use it as a sample or a case study for the topic that we're talking about today, it's a project that we began drawing up, if I may say, back in 2018 when we took over the operations and maintenance of the state highway system, traffic signals and devices in Monroe County. We identified there was a need for us. If you guys remember the map at the beginning, our Transportation Management Center, or TMC, is located here in Miami-Dade County. And we do the operations of this traffic signal system from here to areas that you see in the map all the way at the end, like Key West, that are about 4 hours away from where we are. And at the TMC, we not only have the operations staff, we also house our maintenance team. So as you can imagine, it was very important for us to ensure that this project in particular was taking into consideration all of the needs that we have to be able to have awareness of what's going on in the corridor, at the various traffic signals, etc., so that our staff can do their job much efficiently. So we started with the systems engineering process, as the term recommends. We worked on developing the project in 2019, and from the very beginning, which is one of the lessons learned you guys will see in a few minutes, we started engaging the stakeholders, because that is another guidance that proves to be very useful to obtain early buy-in into whatever project you are going to be implementing. And that makes a very big difference when it comes to being able to implement the project and have it successfully go through from construction to operations, etc. This project we did as a design build project. We worked on it throughout 2020, and we were able to let the project as a construction project started over in 2021. And then in 2024, it became fully operational, and our TSMO office, after all the testing and integration, took it over for operations and maintenance. So here, I wanted to pause and show you one of the examples that Nick was mentioning at the beginning about the TOM guidance on key roles and responsibilities. So this project that I am talking about, by the way, it's called the East Coast Project, or Keys Connecting Overseas to Advance Safe Travel. It is a connected vehicle project that not just has connected vehicle in it, but has a lot of other TSMO components in it. So in this project, you know, in regards to key roles and responsibilities, I led the effort, you know, from way back in 2019 to develop the project. You know, I represented the department as the design project manager and, you know, did all the coordination with the stakeholders, with the other functional units within the department. We, you know, prepared the scope, we ensured that we programmed the funding, etc. But then, you know, my role as a design PM was later transitioned to the construction project manager, which then took everything that, you know, I had started and assumed that responsibility for the project when it transitioned to the construction phase. They then led the implementation, the oversight of the contractor, and, you know, were responsible for delivering the project. Now, throughout the entire process, the TSMO office continued providing input and acted as, you know, an expert on the subject whenever the PM or the CEI, you know, needed some guidance or had any questions regarding especially the technological aspects of the project. We found that, you know, this continuity and this collaboration with the different offices in the department is what made this project very successful to implement. We had involved the partnership of several entities or agencies that participated in this or are participating in the project, both not only on the FDOT side by including our fleet vehicles, our maintenance vehicles, but also a lot of the local agencies volunteered their you know, fire rescue vehicles, their sheriff's office vehicles, etc., to implement connected vehicle technology in them. So what was the technology that we implemented? We implemented the installation of roadside units in about 59 sites all throughout the 112 miles that you guys saw on the map, that we have the state highway or US 1 across in the Florida Keys. We implemented a smartphone application, and we also, for the benefit of our operations team, we implemented an automated traffic signal performance measure, or ATSPM. On the side of IPS, we have vehicle detection systems that were upgraded. We had an installation throughout the entire corridor of traffic or CCTV cameras so that our operators can have an awareness of the conditions on site. And we set up a communication system to be able to communicate with each and every one of these traffic signals, roads and units, etc. Some of the applications that connected vehicle applications that we implemented, which are now being evaluated by a team from the Florida International University as well as University of Florida. They are doing a before and after evaluation to help us determine the effectiveness of these applications that we implemented through this project. So what were the lessons that we learned? As I said earlier, engaging the stakeholders in the process, getting their buy-in into what it is that you are intending to achieve through the implementation of TSMO, sharing, you know, not just the idea, but also the documentation of what has been success stories from other implementations, you know, throughout Florida, by Florida DOT, but also US DOT and their connected vehicle deployments. And, you know, communicating with these stakeholders, you know, these were local law enforcement agencies, first responders, etc., in very clear and non-technical language to be able to explain to them This is what we are implementing, explaining the challenges and the reason why this TSMO project was necessary. And doing all of that in kind of a conversation, allowing the stakeholders to also present us with, their questions, their concerns, etc., was something that we learned that really paid off as we were later having to coordinate with each of them to actually implement the technology. The other thing is the building the workforce. So ensuring that our team was ready way ahead of time, utilizing, those resources that FDOT has for us, like the trainings, the in-person trainings, CBT trainings, etc., to ensure that our team, was ready on day one when we took over operations and maintenance responsibility. And then also planning for the future, as the guidance, tells us that we cannot just think about, okay, this was, planned, this was programmed, this was assigned, the project was built, now it's in operations and maintenance. We have to always think, okay, what is next? How do we prepare for the future, ensuring that we are ready to maintain the success of our deployments throughout? And that is the end of my presentation. I'll leave all of you with this safety message for the month of August. Our kids are back to school, so please drive safely. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Yamala. That was an excellent presentation in how to apply and integrate TSMO into capital projects. Just a couple questions for you. First question is, what is the most pressing challenge that your team faces when it comes to integrating TSMO into these capital projects? Obviously, you guys have some experience in this, but what do you find is the most pressing issue?
So the early programming, catching the projects early on to make sure that the funding, the appropriate amount of funding is programmed for implementing the TSMO strategies. I think that we have come a long way and we're doing very well at this point, but early on, there were missed opportunities. So that is why we worked really hard to ensure that department-wide, all of our colleagues, on the other side, the development side of the house, right, at FDOT, we are on the operations side, are aware of, the things that TSMO can accomplish, that, our projects alone, the building additional capacity cannot always do because we have restrictions and right away. So Nick, I would say that has been the challenge. Trying continuously to stay on top of what is coming, what is planned, and making sure that we have an opportunity to include the TSMO part on.
Okay, great. And then you talked a little bit about this, but how is the TSMO projects that are part of the larger capital projects, how are those handed off after a project is completed for ongoing maintenance and operations? And what's the process and what does that take to make sure that you're getting what you thought you were going to get, and how do you handle that afterwards?
Thank you. That's a really good question, Nick. And yes, I showed one of the many flowcharts that we have created. So we have worked with our construction partners here in the district, and we have included in the conversation the operations team, the maintenance team, gathering all of their aches and pains, and things that they were finding difficult, to deal with after certain projects were being handed to them. Things like, for example, I believe the flowchart that I showed there is one that talks about, okay, the project is in its final stages, the TSMO IPS part of it has been completed, how is it that that CEI or, the FDOTPM communicates with us? We have established mutually agreed upon procedures for them to let us know, okay, our testing is ready to be started. They typically come into our TMC to do the testing phase, and we actively participate in the testing. Once the testing has been completed, then our ITS maintenance forces are engaged so that they can go and do a final inspection of the project ahead of the official final inspection that a traditional project will have. They will go and inspect along with the contractor that is responsible for the ITS, all of the ITS elements. So we're talking about dynamic message signs, a CCTV, a runway driving system, and they will catch those things that perhaps need to be addressed, creating a punch list. That is then documented. The contractor, the construction project manager and CEI keep track of the contractor's work to fix that. Once they do, we go, we inspect. Once our team says, okay, everything is good to go, then we have a list of documents that need to be submitted. And we have worked once again with them on this to get, concurrence from the construction office, on, let's say, if it is a traffic signal that has been built, they need to give us not just the as-bills, but this number of other documents. We also have for the ITS, a form that has been implemented where, we are including serial numbers, parts, where have they been installed, the warranty, etc. So once all of that documentation has been received, and we've had, an opportunity to integrate the devices into our APMS, our operating system, then, we give the green light, and then the district moves on with the final acceptance of the project. But we have been very lucky that, we've been able to create that partnership with our construction, colleagues here. And, now our project's been a lot smoother at the end.
All right, that's great. Great information. Thanks very much again for your presentation. And we're going to move on to our next speaker. It's Rupali Mohan Singh from the Nevada DOT. So Rupali, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you, Nick. I would like to thank Mr. Nick Ramfos and Adam Hobbs from NOCoE for giving us this opportunity to present Nevada DOT's TSMO program. This was initiated a little more than a decade ago, and I'll be presenting how far we progressed to date. Next slide, please. So here you see a snapshot of our progress with the TSMO program. It started in 2014, and NDOT conducted its first capability maturity model workshop that set the stage for statewide TSMO guidance. In 2017, NDOT initiated the development of the statewide TSMO program, and we used the 2014 CMM action items as the foundation. The program plan also included a business case that highlighted the operational challenges and the value of TSMO. So following the adoption of the program plan in 2020, we conducted another round of CMM assessment to measure the progress and performance over the past years and use this to formally develop and implement the progress in our planning documents. And using the 2020 CMM results, NDOT tailored, modified its TSMO implementation with planning phase tasks and initiated the development of 4 plan documents, including staffing and workforce development plan, performance management program plan, the planning and financial resources, processes and procedures, and the stakeholder engagement plan. The business case for TSMO was also updated in 2023 to reflect all the latest trends and the challenges faced by Nevada's transportation system, and it highlighted TSMO activities across all NDOT divisions beyond traffic operations. In 2024, we conducted the last CMM workshop to reflect current capabilities and identify goals and action items for the future. 2024 was also a significant year as we implemented and started the management of the statewide TSMO program. Next slide, please. So looking at TSMO in action, the figure on the left shows how traditionally projects go through a project life cycle, scoping, design, construction, and maintenance. When we started our TSMO program development process, we realized that there were opportunities for integrating TSMO strategies. So we started at the planning phase. And for the implementation of TSMO strategies through the life cycle, we incorporated specific TSMO tools and processes that I will talk in the slides coming on for a more collaborative and integrated approach for project development and safety and delivery. To make sure operations is not an afterthought, we integrated these strategies from the early stages of project development. So for the planning stage, we developed the TSMO investment prioritization tool, the IPT. For scoping and programming and design concept development, we developed the TSMO evaluation tool. For construction, we integrated our traffic incident management program, the TIM Coalition, incorporating work zone management strategies and through stakeholder engagement through this coalition. We invite district engineers in the region where we are conducting these TIM Coalition meetings to discuss upcoming and current construction and maintenance events in the area. We also invite construction project managers to talk about large projects and if they will have a major impact on traffic. A few of these projects in Southern Nevada, Project Neon, I-15 Tropicana Interchange, and the high-speed rail Brightline, just to name a few. In Northern Nevada, in the city of Reno, Sparks area, we have the Spaghetti Bowl Interchange and North Valley construction that is still ongoing. We have also been asked to provide 4-hour TIM training to many of our personnel that work on these projects to help minimize the disruptions in case of an incident in a construction zone. During Project Neon, we trained about 100 construction personnel. We also assisted contractors in planning a mock construction incident. An example was like a crane collapsed and how would they go about managing the incident in the zone. Over the years, we have found that our stakeholders are very appreciative and like having updates so that their agencies are notified of the changes and closures. We also provide our stakeholders with highway road restriction reports so they can manage traffic accordingly. So for the operations and maintenance, we established the asset management tools and strategies to assist with meeting device-specific operational and maintenance goals. An example of this is the lifecycle cost analysis tool that I will be talking about in the slides coming up. The TSMO tools, I will talk about each stage. The first one is the integration in planning process, and this is the TSMO IPT. So the investment prioritization tool was developed as a TSMO strategy to ensure operational objectives are accounted for during the project selection and prioritization process. And during the implementation process, this tool was integrated into the business process, such as our ITS and ATM master plan. So developing this prioritization framework, we placed a great focus on including both qualitative and quantitative analysis and the scoring criteria that you see to the extreme right, the column. So together with our stakeholders, we identified the following criteria for the ITP, which is how does each of these projects enhance safety, with it helps in the preservation of infrastructure, optimize mobility, and we have a discussion with them on each of these projects in the planning phase. Our leadership also recognizes the value of TSMO as a core value within the DOT, and hence they have identified Traffic Operations Division to be one of the key stakeholders in the planning stage to make sure that operational objectives are prioritized very early on. So based on the above criteria, this tool assigns an overall TSMO score for each of these projects, and that's how we prioritize these projects based on the TSMO score from the highest to the lowest. Next slide, please. The TSMO evaluation tool is developed to assist in the assessment and evaluation of the projects as they go through scoping, programming, and design. The tool will ensure a targeted evaluation of the project scopes against key objectives of TSMO. The process begins with the project design team conducting the evaluation. And the first step in this process is the evaluator, the project manager, to complete level 1 analysis questionnaire. And depending on the responses to the questions in this level, the tool may actually trigger a level 2 analysis, which will then go on into further specific details to a TSMO objective. This process continues until all triggered analyses are completed. And at the end, the tool will automatically populate all the recommendations into a form. This form will then be added to as part of the documentation and put into the proposed scope revisions if required. So the evaluator, if the evaluator answers no to all the questions in level 1, then they would have to fill out a TSMO waiver form, meaning that all opportunities for TSMO integration have been considered and relevant strategies have been adopted. So TSMO integration and project construction, this is mainly done through our TIM coalition, which actively collaborates with all our stakeholders to minimize the impacts of construction on the traveling public and also operational activities. Here we are presenting 3 examples of ways we accomplish this. First is developing the traffic management plan as part of the design package. This comprehensive strategy outlines how to manage optimized traffic flow, particularly during planned events or disruptions, and by employing various techniques and technologies. The second strategy is the traffic incident management program. We are very proud to have a very mature TIM program that enables a very structured coordination and collaboration through its coalitions. We use these coalitions as an opportunity to discuss major construction projects, roadway closures, and coordinate for potential traffic challenges with law enforcement in preparation for major construction activities and for the duration of the construction project. Our coalitions are held every 2 months in the cities of Reno, Carson City, the capital, and Las Vegas, and every quarter in our rural areas. Last but not the least, we allocate resources to help organize our stakeholders and public outreach through publications, materials, share information regarding construction and roadway closures in advance. Our traffic management center in Las Vegas, the team members there are part of the key stakeholders in this group and helps them prepare post-travel information messages through DMS signs in preparation for major planned closures or construction events. In Northern Nevada, keeping Interstate 80 open, especially during the winter months, our road op centers in Eastern Nevada and Elko and Western Nevada and Reno help, trucking company, especially the trucking company, to keep goods and services flow through the I-80 corridor. And our TMC staff, along with Southern Nevada RTC, keep Las Vegas moving as it's a year-round destination for events. Next slide, please. So coming to the integration and operations and maintenance, we use the life cycle cost tool. And unlike roads and bridges, ITS assets do not have a formally established performance metric for maintenance conditions. We all know that maintenance activities can impact the operational performance and our life cycle of our assets. Hence, for the purposes of the TAMP, which is our Traffic Transportation Asset Management Plan, we developed a tool to help record the operational conditions of the assets and calculate the required maintenance investment based on the asset's health condition. This really helps us with budgeting. We are really short on budget, and it's going bad to worse every year. And this tool really helps us understand what is required and how we can budget for and work through our budgets. Um, the TSMO performance management program expands on specific definitions by further defining asset priorities. And the first set of definitions we used for the input into the LCC tool are the operational conditions. We established 4 categories: good, low risk, medium risk, and high risk assets. So the second set of them are definitions are based on the assets life cycle. All these definitions and assumptions are developed based on the asset's life cycle, from when an asset is added to when it's to be replaced. We look at all different operational conditions within the cycle. Next slide, please. So finally, using the 4 categories of good, low risk, medium risk, and high risk definitions that were developed for performance metrics of the assets, we developed maintenance definitions for each category. Inspection involves routine maintenance of the device or the asset by NDOT, typically performed annually or biannually based on the type of device. Minor repairs are performed on site, and these include activities such as adjusting loose cables, battery replacement, firmware upgrades. Major repairs typically requires the device to be sent back to the maintenance shop or the factory for repairs, and involves the replacement of one or more key parts to ensure satisfactory device functioning. And the replacement of the devices involves the complete removal and replacement of the device. So these categories, together with the operational condition categories, are used by the LCC tool to establish a transition probability matrix to keep us informed regarding the asset's condition during its life cycle. Next slide, please. And here you look at the 10-year investment for Southern Nevada. Some of our devices out here. There are 2 analysis models that will ultimately be provided using the LCC tool, and this one is the 10-year investment model. Here we work with our external partners, Regional Transportation Commission of Southern Nevada, RTC, and the FAST, which is the Freeway Arterial Service of Transportation. We integrate the LCC into their business processes through our interlocal agreement. And this table considers the current state of the network devices and provides estimates on the 10-year operation and maintenance costs based on the identified maintenance strategy. Next slide, please. The second one is the life cycle cost analysis model. Here it illustrates the life cycle costs of maintaining a brand new network. This example is from the LCC analysis on just all the DMS signs in Southern Nevada. And based on this analysis, the cost of operation and maintenance in the preservation scenario, you can say, is less than half the cost of the first scenario where nothing is done to maintain or assess these devices. Next slide. The outcomes, learnings, and benefits of TSMO integration. Enhanced collaboration. The process of formalizing TSMO tools and integrating it into a business process improved TSMO collaboration externally between our local partners. Workforce development. NOT has held multiple trainings and workshops to educate the external partners in operation and maintenance teams on these TSMO tools. Through monitoring of TSMO integration and project development and delivery lifecycle, our internal and external partners have a better understanding of staffing, workforce, and training needs for TSMO implementation. The business process improvements, NDOT successfully integrated and executed TSMO components in the several agreements, such as interlocal agreement between us and the Regional Transportation Commission of Southern Nevada. And the findings and the lessons learned from these TSMO tools are frequently discussed with our stakeholders to efficiently allocate available funding and resources through data-driven and performance-based processes. Operations and maintenance and improvements. NDOT can ensure that these assets are in good condition, identifying resources and requirements to maintain the assets in good condition to further improve safety, mobility, and reliability of our transportation system. Advanced TSMO culture. Understanding the value of TSMO, partners have now enhanced their collaboration to develop, deliver, operate, and maintain TSMO projects and assets, and stay informed regarding operational objectives. We've had multiple training sessions, workshops, and NDOT has advanced in data-driven and performance-based culture. Asset management and performance measure improvements. This tool's operational and maintenance data helps our partners tend to the maintenance and management needs in a timely manner, therefore improving the operational life cycle and deterioration cycle of the assets. All these benefits are mentioned in the Transportation Operations Manual. Next slide, please. So staffing and workforce development. Next slide, please. So staffing and workforce development was formally adopted in 2023 and implemented in 2024 at Nevada DOT. The four key components of this are recruiting a TSMO workforce, training the TSMO workforce, retaining and integrating TSMO in our educational institutions. Next slide, please. So NDOT staff, with the support of its leadership, worked with the Department of Human Resources Management at the state of Nevada and produced a work plan to develop and approve 5 TSMO positions that align with the 6 CMM dimensions. The TSMO program manager, as part of the TSMO recruiting process, I was hired as the TSMO program manager. My job duties are to advance TSMO culture throughout NDOT, taking the leadership and directing the program across all our divisions to improve on our CMM. The TSMO performance manager, as with most DOTs, our projects are capacity projects. The performance manager identifies opportunity for the implementation of cost-effective solutions to improve safety, mobility, and reliability of the transportation system. NDOT reports on performance measures to the Federal Highway, and the performance manager works with our data analyst, internal and external stakeholders to develop these reports. In the Transportation Operations Manual references all the federal reporting requirements. TSMO data analyst. In a performance-driven culture, the data analyst develops performance measures using real-time operation and long-term trends to support the performance manager and intends to develop predictive analytics. We have a TSMO engineer. Advances TSMO integration through the implementation of systems engineering and application of the latest systems and technology, either through standalone ITS projects or through roadway projects. And we have a TSMO modeling specialist who helps with advanced planning of operations and assists in performing benefit cost analysis to implement various TSMO strategies, and hence we can allocate resources efficiently. Next slide, please. So this is our organization chart at traffic operations at NDOT. And in order to develop a robust workforce and maximize the efficiency of the TSMO program, we restructure the current organization chart by introducing the 5 TSMO positions that you can see through the different sections of our division. Rather than having all the positions in just one section in a silo, this org chart shows you the distribution between the different divisions. The program manager, the performance manager, and the data analyst on the ITS planning and operations. We have the TSMO modeling specialist under operations and network analysis, and the TSMO engineer under signals, lighting, and IT's design. Um, and this is the end of my presentation.
Okay. Thanks, Rupali. That was an excellent presentation. And just a few questions for you. So you talked about the synergy between your TMP, your TIM community, as well as stakeholder outreach and engagement. So when you put all that together, what really makes the difference, or what gets you to where you need to go? What's the most impactful or helpful tools that you get out of that whole process that would really help kind of move your projects forward?
So with our coalition, we have the Freeway Service Patrol that comes to us, our meetings, our construction teams, because they come and address issues there. So every time there's an incident, who's in command, depending on who arrives first on the scene. So it helps with managing an incident, especially now with construction zones all over the place. And in Vegas, as well as in Reno, or any other incident that happens, we know our TMC or the road op staff work in conjunction with who's required, and they deal with our freeway service patrol, or whether we need towing, whether we need our NSP, the highway patrol involved. So it's a big coordinated effort, and the TIM coalition helps with all these meetings, what happened, how they could improve, whether fire needs to be done, EMS people involved. So I think that's the biggest takeaway from our TIM coalitions. It's a really good working group, and it's um, um, a constant change in addressing issues as to what happened, how they could improve on it. If there are any issues to be addressed, how they could address them, chain of command during an incident, and that's our coalition to the best of how they could function. And it's nice because they reach out to the rural areas. In some rural areas, we have no staff. People volunteer as fire personnel. We are very, very spread out in one of our districts, and people just volunteer, but we do go reach out to the rural areas and try to ask them what their issues are, especially during winter conditions, how we can help them, reach out um, to whether it's a communication technologist or just highway patrol in general. And we work with them on a regular basis, and we have a good rapport with almost everybody. So getting all the stakeholders in one place helps clear out a lot of sometimes misunderstandings because at times I know there were complaints about from our district office, because we get our maintenance crews and incidents, and when the PD is called in, they don't want to say how big the incident is, and hey, if you want to block off a roadway, do we bring 20 cones or 100 cones? That was a question that was thrown out there, and how we could address these issues and say why these questions were asked, and how we could move forward and make things go around more smoothly uh, in the area.
Okay, great. You talked a little bit about equipment and examining it and replacing it. And, we've heard just over the course of time, we've heard from a lot of agencies about how complicated and difficult that could be, or that can end up being. What are some of the lessons learned that you guys have run into with having to replace aging equipment? And how does that work out with your budget requirements? So that's two
Uh,
questions, I guess, right there.
yes.
So,
So the first one is we have this replacement. The LCC tool is used in Southern Nevada. We have an interlocal agreement with the Southern Nevada RTC, the Regional Transportation Commission, and based on this, we have a staff that goes on a regular basis and goes and checks on all our devices. they figure out, what's required. If something doesn't show up in our ATMS, saying that, the device is not functioning properly, they go check on it. They go and look to see if it can be fixed, replaced. And also, they go through a list of, a list basically. We meet regularly and we go through what are the problems we are facing with these devices, how long do they have on the timeline, when they do need to be replaced. So if Ati is on the call, Ati will be able to answer this question better than I would, because she actually works as the liaison between NDOT and RTC. So Ati, if you're there, you can answer.
I think we probably have to unmute her. Let's see if we can do that.
Hello.
Do that.
Hello, Ati.
Yeah, there you are.
Oh, can you hear me? Okay, perfect. So yeah, as Rupali was stating, we have regular preventative maintenance meetings with our partners in Southern Nevada. So the conversations are typically around the frequency of these maintenance activities and then the cost that we're spending on all of this. I would say the biggest lesson learned is that capturing the information on the maintenance data and the operations data, and then that ultimately helps in making the decision about when and how these devices need to be replaced and what are the financial requirements, what are the budget approvals that we need to have in place before we even enter the planning phase of the project development specific to maintenance and asset management. So I would say that coordination, that early on coordination is probably the biggest lesson learned right now.
Okay. And I'm assuming as you're looking at all of this, particularly if you have new projects coming up, or maybe you're doing a reconstruction and there's old equipment out there that, that's probably part of the conversation, or at some point it needs to be part of the conversation.
Absolutely. It's all taken into account, Nick. So once we have that list, as soon as a project comes up in the area, then we're all prepared to have a conversation about not only the new devices that are going in the field, but also what are the old devices that need to be replaced.
Great. Okay, well, thank you both. Now I'm just going to ask all of the speakers, Yamilet, if you want to just turn your camera back on. So, we've heard a lot today about linking TSMO into capital projects. And just moving forward, I'd just like to hear from both of you on how you envision using the TOM, either, maybe how you're using it now or how do you plan to use it in the future? Not you in specific, but maybe your team in moving forward with some of the projects that you're working on.
Thank you, Nick. No, definitely, we have been and plan to continue using it, not only as a guiding tool, but also as an educational tool, because, as TSMO continues evolving, as we continue getting more devices that are, with the latest technology or the latest application, it is important that our team it's ahead of the game in knowing, how to get ready. When I say our team, I can give you an example. Our project CEIs, for example, that, represent us whenever you have a construction project. Typically, for regular, building roadways and things like that, there is a lot of knowledge that has been obtained over the years by our staff that represent us out there in the field. But, when it comes to TSMO deployments, I think that it is important that they can obtain the latest guidance and knowledge, before they begin, delving into a project during that period as well. So I think for those two things, guidance and education, is probably what we will use the most.
Okay, great.
Mhm.
And Rupali, any thoughts on that?
So it's kind of funny when I just came on board a little more than a year ago. I was looking to read on TSMO, and we had our documents that were program plan and other things in place. For some reason, I hit upon the Tom, and I realized our research library had it on file, so made copies of it for everybody to read because it's a pretty comprehensive guide, especially like Yamlet said. It is a very good education on the operations side of any DOT. Um, it's thorough. It goes through every stage, especially the V diagram that you see. Yeah, it's a good learning tool, and I read quite a few chapters of it whenever I got some time. Uh, and it's, I would say, a thorough educational tool for anyone who wants to pick up TSMO and understand how it can fit through in a DOT through the process.
Great. Okay, well, that's all the questions that we have today. I want to just take this opportunity to thank both Yamilet and Rupali for their very comprehensive and thoughtful and very enlightening presentations today. I want to thank all of our participants. And if you want to find out more about the TOM, visit our sites to either get the training or get the TOM itself, or join us again because we'll have another quarterly TOM Talks later this year. I think it'll be around November. And thank you all. Have a great rest of the day.